Number 5 on this list is Suji Yura. Suji Yura is a Japanese fortune-telling ritual that's goal is to tell the user their future. To do this, you're gonna need to summon what many people believe is an undead spirit or a demon, and whenever you do that, there are always some risks involved. You're gonna need a few things to perform this ritual. A comb, something to cover your face with, not just a mask but your entire face has to be covered, and to be at a crossroads that won't be busy. Head to the crossroads with your comb and your face covering. You'll want to get there around 11:50 at night. When the clock hits midnight, take your comb and stroke the teeth of it so that it makes some noise. Then say the following words: Suji Yura, grant me a true response. Now wait, it may take a little while, so you have to be patient. If nobody approaches the crossroads or someone you know approaches the crossroads, then sadly the ritual did not work and you can go home. If a stranger approaches though, then it did work, and you have just summoned an undead spirit. Once you see them in the distance, immediately throw your face covering on. When you feel their presence beside you, kindly ask them to tell you your fortune. They should do so and you will receive an insight into what is to come. The thing about fortunes though is that a lot of times you're not going to like what you hear. We always have these lofty expectations that assume life will always be better than it is right now. Well, what if you knew for certain that it's actually going to be worse and there isn't anything that you can do about it? That's one of the reasons why you shouldn't do this ritual, because knowing what comes can take the meaning out of life. This is also a demonic ritual where you're summoning an undead spirit. It doesn't always go the way that you want it to, and on occasion people have reported that the spirit that they summoned wasn't the one that they expected. Similar to how demons can hijack Ouija board experiences, they could do the exact same thing here. Number 4 on this list is the concentration ritual. This is a pretty strange one where you'll actually learn how you're going to die. If you want to do this, then you won't be able to do it by yourself. You're going to need another person to help you. Close your eyes and clear your mind. Have your friends stand behind you and lightly pound your back as they begin the concentration chant. Now for this video, I'm not going to go through the entire chant because it's actually really long, but to sum it up, there are 5 verses that act as a way of hypnotizing you and sending your spirit away from your body. When it finishes, your friend from behind you will give you a light push that should make you stumble and fall forward. As you're regaining your balance, open your eyes and you should see a color. The color that you see determines how you're gonna die. For instance, red means that somebody's gonna stab you. White means that you will die of old age and you'll go to heaven, whereas black means that you'll die of old age and go to hell. The thing about this game is that you'll never know when this is going to happen to you. So you may learn that you're gonna die from being stabbed, but never know when or by who. So for the rest of your life, you will be living in constant paranoia of somebody stabbing you. I think when it comes to death, ignorance truly is bliss, and learning about how you can die can only ever make your life worse right now. Number 3 on this list is the elevator game. The elevator game is a demonic ritual of sorts that is supposed to grant you the ability to enter another world. This other world is considered by most to be a demon realm. The game itself started in Korea, but has slowly gained more intrigue across the world from people looking to potentially enter hell. To do this, you'll need an elevator in a building that's at least 10 stories tall. The building that you're in should ideally be as empty as possible. Get in your elevator and then proceed to these following floors in order. First, you go to the 4th floor, then you descend to the 2nd floor. Then up to the 6th, and then back down to the 2nd, and then go all the way up to the 10th floor, and then finally back down to the 5th. Now at the 5th floor is when things get interesting. People have done this and have reported having an encounter with a woman. This woman looks normal on the outside, but I promise you that she isn't to be trusted. She will enter the elevator from the 5th floor and do anything she can to gain your attention. This could come in the form of flattery, or she may even antagonize you, but whatever you do, do not pay her any mind at all. There doesn't seem to be a conclusive answer to what happens if you speak to her. However, death or an eternal haunting, these are very much on the table. Once she enters and you don't speak to her, press the 1st floor. If you descend to the 1st floor, get out of the elevator and don't look back. You weren't accepted into the other world. If the elevator starts to go up when you press the 1st floor though, then congratulations. You just made it into the demon realm. The elevator will rise to floor 10, and when the doors open, you will find yourself staring out at a very different version of the 10th floor. From my understanding, it looks very similar to the other side in the popular sci-fi television show Stranger Things. The lights will be out, darkness will flood the space. Apparently some people have reported seeing a red cross if you look out the windows. If you want to get back, then just repeat the steps that you did to get there and you should make it back home. Now this could all just be an elaborate prank to get people to hop in an elevator and waste their entire day by going up and down floors. Because if somebody hops in the elevator, then you have to stop and do it all over again. However, in 2013, a Canadian student died in an elevator, and when people watched back the footage, she was acting very strangely in the elevator prior to dying, almost as if she was being possessed. None of these rituals are an exact science, and any time you attempt to go to another world, expect there to be some potential consequences. Number 2 on this list is the Three Kings. The Three Kings is a ritual that should transport one person to an unknown dimension where they may get clarity on their past or future. Now for this ritual, you're gonna need a lot of things to make it work. A room without any outside light at all, a candle, a bucket of water, 2 sizable mirrors, an alarm clock, 3 chairs, a cell phone, and a friend that you trust. Yeah, I know, it's a lot of stuff. At around 11 at night, start setting up your ritual. Set up the chair in the middle of your room facing north and put the other 2 chairs next to it facing the same way. Take your mirrors and put them sitting in the chairs facing outwards. Have the bucket of water close by your chair. Now once all of this is done, it's time for you to go to sleep. Sleep until 3:30 a.m. in the morning. You must wake up precisely at that time and then head over to that room. Close the door and sit in the middle chair with your candle now lit. You should have your friend waiting outside of the door of the room that you're in. Now if all of this has been done correctly, this is when you should start to hear some voices. They'll be coming from the mirrors on either side of you, but it's very important that you do not look at these mirrors or make eye contact with whomever is speaking. You just have to keep staring ahead and try to stay calm. One of these voices will be the Fool and one will be the Queen. You in this scenario are the King. Being the king, you are allowed to ask questions that you would like to be answered. One of these beings will answer the questions. The problem is that you're never going to know who is who. The queen will tell you the truth, whereas the fool will lie to you. Not knowing who is who and having no way to find out makes it very difficult to discern the truth to these questions. Sometimes they may even respond to your question with one of their own, in which case you're obligated to reply. You will be able to speak to these beings for 1 hour, and right as that hour is up, your friend on the outside needs to get your attention. They should knock first, then try to call you. If you haven't responded to either of those, they need to come inside and throw the bucket of water on you. You may not respond to any of these initially because it's said that this ritual can bring you into a very deep trance. A trance that makes that hour you're sitting there feel like an eternity. An entire lifetime where you're stuck in your own mind sitting in that chair. Considering you don't even know if these answers are true or not, the risk is just not worth the reward for this ritual. Number 1 on this list is the corner game. This may be classified as a game, however it is basically a summoning ritual to bring a demon or ghostly spirit to our world. You can't perform this one on your own. You're going to need to have 4 people in total if you want to do this. You're also going to need access to a house without anything living in it other than you and your 3 friends. Turn off all the lights in your building or your home except for the ones in the room that you've chosen to perform the ritual. This room that you've chosen to do your ritual in, it has to have exactly 4 corners. Can't have any more, can't have any less. Head into your room and speak your name 3 times as you enter. Now before you enter the room, you'll have chosen a speaker. From here on out, after you've said your names, they are the only person that's allowed to say anything. Once you're inside, you've all repeated your names, close the door, and turn off the lights. Everyone has to go to a corner of their choosing now and face into it with their backs to the center of the room. The speaker will then count to 3, and after they have done so, everyone has to move to the next corner of the room in a clockwise direction without looking at the center of the room. Do this exactly 4 times so that you end up in the same corner that you started in. Once this is completed, you will feel the presence of a figure in the center of the room. This is the demon or ghostly spirit that you've just summoned. Now what's kind of ridiculous about this is that you've just summoned this being, but you're not actually allowed to turn around and look at it. You have to remain with your back to the wall and just feel its presence. After you've had enough, you need to do the completion procedure, which is where everyone says their full name backwards 3 times, and then one by one, exit the room hoping that the being doesn't follow you or isn't still there. People trying this game have reported having one of their members disappear and not being able to get them back. People have also said that sometimes the room is now forever haunted by this thing that you just summoned. Either way, I would never do this because you literally can't even see the demon that you just brought here. You go through all of this trouble, risk your life, to just stand with your back to the room, staring at a corner. Not really my idea of a good time. Number 5 on this list is the closet game. This is a game where you can make it so that your closet is forever haunted by a demon, because apparently this is desirable to some people. In fact, the entire point of the game is to simply summon a demon. It's very simple and you won't need a whole lot of things to make it work. First things first, you're gonna need a closet, and this is where you're gonna be summoning your demon and where it's going to stay for the rest of your life, assuming that you perform the ritual properly. You are also going to need a box of matches. Get your matches and head to the closet. Now you need to make sure that all the light in that room that your closet is located in is off. Having any light around will interrupt the ritual and it won't work. Get inside your closet and close the door. You should be in complete darkness at this point. Take one of your matches and hold it up to your face. Don't light it yet, just have your match there and ready to go for when you do need it. Now say the following words: "Show me the light or leave me in darkness." Those are the words, and once you say those, you should begin to notice a serious presence in your environment. You will start to hear whispers as if somebody is standing behind you and whispering in your ear. The second that you hear that, and this is very important, you have to light your match immediately. It's said that if you don't light it quickly enough or at the exact right moment, then the demon that you have just summoned to your closet will grab you from behind and pull you back into the darkness. Now, assuming that you did light your match okay and you haven't been pulled straight back to hell, then the whispers should stop and now you can safely exit your closet. However, now your closet is literally forever haunted by that demon. So yeah, this is gonna go on the should never perform list for me, because literally best case scenario is that you survive the ritual and now you just have to forever fear going and getting clothes from your closet. Number 4 on this list is the 11-mile game. This game is actually done in your car or on your motorcycle, so a little change from our standard get in a room and turn the lights off sort of ritual. That being said though, it does have to be performed at night and you also have to be alone in your vehicle. You're gonna have to take your car out into the woods, drive down the wooded roads and keep your mind open. Eventually you will come upon a road and you're gonna have to recognize that this is the 11-mile road. There isn't going to be any bright flashing neon signs, so that's where your intuition has to come into play. Once you turn down the 11-mile road, there is no going back until you finish it, so ready yourself and then begin your drive. You have to make sure that your radio is off, same with your phone, and also have all your doors and your windows shut. As you're driving, things will begin to happen. The first mile, there's nothing, it's just a standard road, but by the time you get to the 4th mile, you may start to hear voices or notice movements in the darkness. Keep your eyes on the road and keep driving. By the 8th mile, your headlights will be flickering. The voices will be incredibly loud, maybe even from your back seat. You may see bright lights from the forest. Just keep your eyes on the road and keep driving. By the 10th mile, don't look in the mirror, don't look in the back seat. Your car may even stall and stop, but you can't panic. Quickly turn it off and then turn it back on and keep driving, because you can't stay in one place for very long. Last mile is the 11th mile, and your car will assuredly stall. You just have to tune everything out. Voices, feelings, sensations. Ignore everything. Close your eyes if you have to. Plug your ears. Whatever you have to do so that you don't look at anything. Just get your car operating again and keep driving. If you make it through the 11th mile, then you will reach a dead end in the road, and here is where you can finally stop. At this point, you've just made it through the 11-mile road and you are granted with one wish that will manifest something physical inside your car. This ritual is only extremely dangerous if your focus shifts for any moment. If you trust your ability to stay super calm under the type of demonic pressure you would be experiencing from the 11th mile, then that's up to you. But just know that if you do stop or you do look at something, then the consequences could be very dire. Number 3 on this list is the Gambler's Game. Now honestly guys, this is actually one that I would be very interested in as somebody who likes to gamble. This one kind of sounds fun. However, you gotta know your life will be on the line, so probably not the best idea. How it works is super simple. You will need a deck of cards, a quiet room, a table, and 2 chairs. You want to set the table up so that there's nothing on it except for the pack of cards and chairs facing across from one another. Sit in your chair and look at the empty one across the table from you. Open up your cards and shuffle shuffle them thoroughly. Do not try to cheat, you have to play fair. At the end of the day, you are gambling here. Now the game that you actually play is up to you, so you might have a slight advantage there. However, it's said that the gambler, who you're going to play with, prefers blackjack and may even take it easy on you if that's the game you choose. Pick the game and deal out the cards to yourself and to the empty seat. Now very simply, look across at your invisible partner and say, let's play. If the gambler feels like playing, then you should feel a chill in the air, like a strong breeze. That means that he's across the table from you now and you can continue. You won't be able to see him, he will still be invisible. Also, if you don't feel a chill in the air, don't bother continuing, there won't be anybody there. Once he's there though and accepted to play with you, the wager from your end is your life. Proceed by playing the game as you would. You'll have to move his hand for him, but once again, don't cheat. You will die if you do. If the game progresses and you lose, then the gambler won't waste any time at all. You will be killed on the spot. If the game progresses though and you win, and this is a good part, you can now take the top card off the deck and cut open your index finger on one hand. Once you've drawn blood, then congratulations, that hand is now your lucky hand. If you head to a casino and you play blackjack and you pick up the cards with that hand, you will turn a mate hand. If you throw a die, same deal, they will land on your number. Basically now you have exceptional gambling luck for the rest of your life, and you could in turn become extremely rich. You still shouldn't do this though, because you are betting your life to begin with and you could very easily lose to a professional demon gambler. But the reward at the end is amazing. Now all this could just be a major hoax on the internet. Like if you think about it, he's invisible the whole time and you just have to move his cards. Like that's basically just solitaire. So I'm not totally sure, but we might never know, because I personally do not want to risk my life and test the theory. Number 2 on this list is the Dry Bones Ritual. This game is super similar to the Midnight Man game, if you've ever heard of that one. The idea is pretty simple. Hide and seek with a demon with potentially life or death stakes. That, in my opinion, doesn't sound so great. However, if you win, then you do get something pretty special. It's said that if you're able to win this hide and seek game, then the demon Dry Bones will grant you one wish of your choosing, so you could stand to gain quite a bit. If you're gonna do this, then it has to be done at exactly 12:01 a.m. You have to make sure that every door in your home is firmly locked. This goes for the windows as well. All electronics, lights, radios, anything that is typically plugged in, that has to be turned off as well. Once this is done, focus your mind on the wish that you want. It has to be something realistic, because it's going to show up outside your door when the game is over if you win. Once you've done that and made it clear in your brain, light a match. If this match doesn't burn out in less than 15 seconds, so it has to stay lit for 15 seconds, then Dry Bones has decided that it will play with you tonight. Now, lie on the ground and say, I am aware of your presence, and I welcome you into my home, but not my body. Come now. If you hear a deep echoing moan, then it is on its way. It's at this point that you would better run and you better hide, and you gotta make sure that it's good, because you have to stay hidden until 3 a.m. that same morning. If you are capable of lasting until 3, then come out and say, thank you for playing, but please leave now, you are no longer welcome. You have then won the game, and you can now go find your wish granted outside of your home. If it finds you in that 3 hours though, no one actually knows what happens. You might die, you might be petrified, maybe something nice even happens, I'm not sure. Although I certainly would not want to be the person to find out. Number 1 on this list is Blue Baby Blue. Now Blue Baby Blue is very similar to Bloody Mary, except now you'll be summoning a demon baby, so that's something, I guess. As with many of these rituals, this will be taking place in a dark room with a mirror. Now the dark room actually has to be a bathroom, because you're gonna need access to a toilet. If you don't have a toilet, then you're probably gonna die. Here's what you have to do. Go into your bathroom and lock the door. Turn all the lights out so that you should be in complete darkness. Now you will need just a slight bit of light to see some sort of reflection in the mirror, so either wait for your eyes to adjust, or I guess bring in a very small candle with you. Now stick out both of your hands as if you were holding something in front of you. Look into the mirror and repeat this 13 times. Baby blue, blue baby. That's 1. Do that 13 times without fail, which is actually kind of hard. Baby blue, blue baby, baby blue, blue baby. Yeah, that would be difficult. But if you make a mistake and trip up on your words, then it said that it won't work. So you're gonna have to start again if you do that. If you do make it through that part of the ritual, then in your outstretched arms, you should feel a weight has just formed. You won't be able to see it, but you will very clearly feel that you are now holding a demon baby. Now you have to make sure that that thing is far away from you, because if it's close enough, then it's gonna scratch, it's gonna claw, it's gonna rip out your hair. It's not a pleasant baby. After a little while of feeling the weight in your arms and hopefully it not clawing the crap out of you, you're gonna start to hear crying coming from inside your head. This is your cue to take the baby, drop that thing in the toilet, and flush it out of here. It's said that if you don't do that part fast enough, kind of similarly to our previous example with the matches, then you're gonna be in trouble. If you wait a little bit too long, then a hideous looking woman is gonna appear in the mirror. She's gonna stare straight at you and yell, "Give me back my baby." That scream is said to be so loud that it will break the glass of the mirror, and then she will step straight into your bathroom and murder you. Definitely not a good freaking time, if you ask me. Well, there you have it, guys. That is our top 5 demonic rituals that you should never perform. Part 2. Please let me know in the comments what you thought about these ones, and if there's any one that you would actually be willing to try.
Number 5. The Ouija Board. Starting this list off because, well, this one's pretty obvious, and there's some even weirder ones ahead, so buckle up. The Ouija Board is a board game most popularized by teens in the 1970s, when fads were at a heightened time. The Ouija board has earned its reputation over the years, although it was created almost 100 years before that. Go on. The year is 1891, and as the first ads started appearing in papers, Ouija the Wonderful Talking Board. Extra, extra, read all about it. The title from a Pittsburgh toy and novelty shop. The first paper described a magical game that answered questions about the past, present, and future with marvelous accuracy. An advertisement in a New York newspaper titled it interesting and mysterious as proven at patent office before it was allowed. Price? $1.50. Okay, so chilling and affordable. A flat board with the letters of the alphabet configured into 2 semicircles, above the numbers 0 through 9, the words yes and no in the upper corners, goodbye at the bottom. No batteries included nor needed. A planchette, like a little teardrop shaped tool used to maneuver about the board. Sounds simple enough. The idea was that 2 or more people would sit around the board and place their fingertips on the planchette and ask a question out loud. After a moment or two, the planchette seemed to start moving to the corresponding letters, spelling out an eerie message from who knows where. The origins are messy, and it's hard to pinpoint who or what inspired early attempts at this game and its humble beginnings. It kinda just appeared on the shelves. Spooky. After the 1850s, the Fox sisters of New York had popularized spiritualism, and the US started flooding with the interest in spirituality, towing the line of religion-related thrill-seeking. The Kennard Novelty Company exclusively made and marketed these talking boards. One thing, however, is that they didn't have a name for this new game. Apparently, the lore goes that one of the men who also owned and founded Kennard Toys' sister was a medium, and when asked the board what it would like to be called, to which it responded, Ouija. When asked what the name meant, it responded with, good luck. Terrifying! Hey, at least good sportsmanship. Good lucks and good games? Kinda nice touch before it spells out your fate, no? One thing I know for sure is that I'm never playing this game. Number 4, Hide and Seek Alone. Hide and Seek Alone has gotten some pretty dramatic online traffic throughout the past 20-ish years. Results from people who try it, write about it, and avoid it are all pretty interesting to say the least. Though it's a bit of an elaborate ritual, the game, you summon a ghost into a doll or stuffed animal at around 3 a.m. and then invite the possessed doll for a friendly game of hide and seek. First off, who's doing this? Second off, it's 3 a.m. I'm old. I'm sleeping by this point. Third, I don't do dolls, man. Creepy. Surfacing in the 2000s on the deepest spots of the web, this frightening and spiritually challenging game has made waves and enforced that serious problems could arise if played wrong. How do you mess up hide and seek? Found you. In some cases, the rituals call for very specific details. Other times, a very loose game setup. Some dolls were even stuffed with rice instead of cotton, and apparently toenails from the player for a DNA connection were added to the object. It's at times like these that these legends start sounding very fake. Or do they? Sometimes needing red sewing string to stitch and repair the now ready teammate, the ritual has been started. The game is played at 3 a.m. and some say 3:33 is the ideal time to play, in which the player washes the doll and explains to it the rules of the game and the participants playing. I will hide, and you will come find me. It's always when you're hiding that you all of a sudden have to pee. So bad. Always. And what happens when the doll finds you? Apparently the deep web has story after story about the countless effects on this game and doesn't recommend it due to all the stresses to come after. Apparently the process of ridding the spirit of your home at the end of the game has been the most challenging part. Who'd have thought? Would help if there was an instruction manual, of course. Of course I won't be playing this game at any time soon, I'll be sleeping at that hour. Much safer. Number 3, CE5. Demonic forces come in many shapes and sizes. I chose this topic next on the list because I feel that this is the way we're headed, and it's absolutely terrifying for our world, and theirs. Dr. David M. Greer is an American ufologist and founder of the Center for Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence and director of the Disclosure Project. CSETI started in 1990 to create a civil and research-based initiative to contact ET civilizations. The group defined CE5, or Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, as human-initiated contact and communication with ET life. CSETI claims to have over 3,000 confirmed reports of UFO sightings by pilots alone, and CSETI has designed a protocol for human-initiated contact to UFOs using a form of consciousness. Oh yeah, and high-grade military lasers. Namaste, dude. Hey, that's pretty sick. The goal of which to publicly disclose the government's alleged knowledge of UFOs. I'm all for it. Extraterrestrial intelligence, and of course advanced energy and propulsion systems. The summoning part comes in the form of Greer's overnight trips to see these ETs in person. This week-long intensive workshop is limited to about 25 guests and provides an intensive training program with Dr. Greer, which each night will go out and make contact using the very effective CE5 contact protocols. Located in Costa Mesa, California, researchers can expect to be alongside him for a lesson in meditation and consciousness. Greer has an audiobook out on how to summon ET craft yourself, and has numerous documentaries surrounding the topic. What do you think? Is this guy a real deal? I think so. Especially with all this UAP NASA stuff that's going on. Who knows? Number 2, Furbies. If you grew up in the 90s like me, then you must remember Furbies. They were everywhere. And then all of a sudden, nowhere. A Furby is an American electronic robot toy that was originally released in 1998 by Tiger Electronics. It resembles an owl or gremlin-like creature and went through a period of being a small craze to have become an overnight sensation in the 90s. Following its holiday season launch, with continual sales up until the year 2000, over 40 million Furbies were sold during the 3 years of its original production, with 1.8 million sold in 1998 and 14 million in 1999. Its speaking capabilities were translated into 24 languages, and this is where it starts getting messed up. And I know, because I had one. Furbies were the first successful attempt to produce and sell out domesticated enhanced AI systems. A newly purchased Furby starts out speaking entirely Furbish, the unique language that all Furbies use. Cute. But it's programmed to start using English words as soon as it learns them, in place of Furbish over time, as it just sits there, listening to you. Or sometimes even in the middle of the night, demonically talking to you. Remember that? The voices? Feed me, feed me. This process is intended to resemble the process of gibberish and learning English slowly. So sophisticated for its time. The updated Furby with voice recognition and more complex facial movements was sold by Hasbro between 2005 and 2007. Another updated Furby with even LCD eyes and a mobile app was released for the holiday season in 2012. There were a couple of red flags that had us convinced they were possessed right from the beginning. First off, they don't speak with batteries. Even if the entirety of the wiring is ripped out of them, they wake you up in the middle of the night, usually saying some messed up shit from the other room, and would occasionally start speaking in tongues. I know, because I heard it. I'm pretty sure that's all the red flags and requirements of a haunted toy, people. And number 1, haunted video game. The Haunted Majora's Mask cartridge story, commonly referred to as Ben Drowned, is a creepypasta story and deep web find. This one personally gives me chills just thinking about it because I've personally watched a 5-hour speed run of this craziness. Please do some homework, you must, on this one. Not only because Majora's Mask is a beautiful game, but the crazy horror urban legend that was born is very scary. The story retells paranormal events that occurred to a sophomore gamer on a college campus upon receiving a secondhand Nintendo 64 cartridge from a friend claiming that he had received the game from an old man throwing out free games. Excited, the gamer tore home and tore into this game. But then, he begins to notice misplaced and missing graphics, added scenes, and even strange connections to a boy named Ben, who is said to have died 8 years before, from within the game. Huh? Majora's Mask is already scary enough. The story attracted many believers from all across the Zelda fandom community, including myself, and still does time to time, although sources have confirmed that this is just a story made up from developers and run to consumers. You got me, dude. I sat through like 6 hours of Link snapping his back, terrified.
Number 5 on this list is the ritual to the other side. This is a ritual performed to let you experience a little bit of the demon world. Now, unlike some of the other demonic rituals on this list, it's relatively tame and your life, it's not going to be at stake. However, the mental strain that it can have on you can be extremely costing. You're going to need a sizable mirror, enough that you can put both of your hands flat on it while still seeing your upper body. A completely pitch black room with absolutely no light whatsoever, a singular candle, but one that isn't too large and won't illuminate the whole room, just something where you can see yourself. Also, an alarm and somewhere to sleep. Now, after you have your items, go take a nap. You want to set your alarm for roughly 2 hours of sleep so that when you wake up, you are decently dazed and not fully aware. Right when you wake up, go to your room with your mirror and make it pitch black. Then light your candle and have it somewhere out of sight, just enough light that you can make out your face in the mirror. You want to place both hands on the mirror roughly shoulder width apart and start to stare at yourself. Focus on yourself. Your focus needs to be impeccable if you want this to work. Now start to alter your breathing. A slow breathe in and a longer exhale. You want your mind and your body to go completely blank and feel as if they're exiting your body. If you're doing all of this properly, then you should start to feel subtle vibrations in your hands that ring throughout your arms. This should be followed by your face starting to distort as if you were hallucinating. Now is when the real images start though. People have reported seeing flashes of loved ones who have died where they're supposed to be standing in the mirror, or have their own bodies start to morph into a demon. Sounds and voices will begin to ring throughout the supposedly silent room, and in extreme cases, your entire room will morph itself into a fiery hell. You've now calmed your mind to a state where it is capable of comprehending the demon realm, and you are in it. Now, it's relatively easy to snap out of this place and no harm will come to you, but that's not the case for some people. This experience can be extremely jarring and haunt people for the rest of their lives. In very rare cases, people who have tried this have descended into a deep depression or even madness. I can only imagine that knowing what is on the other side and what could be potentially waiting for us is a very scary place to be. Sometimes, guys, ignorance truly is bliss. Number 3 on this list is Veronica's Game. Now, Veronica's Game is a demonic ritual that will summon Veronica, a demon girl, who died playing a very similar game many years ago. To get this demon's attention, you will need a few items. A mirror, again, a clock, a quiet room, a candle. This ritual will also require you to perform it at midnight, just like the other ones. Have the mirror set up in your quiet room so that it's at eye level with you. At exactly midnight, light the candle and stare into the mirror. Veronica. Veronica. You have to repeat her name 9 times, staring at yourself in the mirror. After you have done so, extinguish the candle and leave the room. Now, why is this called a game? I don't really understand, because there's really nothing fun about it at all. She's with you now. The demon Veronica is now there with you, and whenever you are by yourself, you will feel her presence. You have just awoken a demon who doesn't want to be awake right now, and she's going to haunt you. You'll feel the temperature start to drop whenever you're by yourself. You may hear sounds that you can't identify or sense movement that you don't understand. It's said that if you ever make fun of Veronica in any way, then that's going to be the last thing that you do. This demon supposedly carries around a pair of scissors at all times and will use them on you if she ever feels that you're taunting her. This demonic ritual should absolutely never be performed because you stand absolutely nothing to gain and potentially your life to lose. Number 2 on this list is a ritual performed by a bunch of high school students in 1986. Now, this ritual has less to do about the otherworldly things that you may summon and more to do with the fact that this is just wrong and you shouldn't ever do this. 12 high school students were linked to a demonic ritual with the goal of praising Satan and cleansing the world of what Satan or these students may qualify as unworthy. These students had found an abandoned house that they painted black and used that as their main base of operations. They painted it black as apparently a way of keeping the badness in and the goodness out. It was here that they had been performing several demonic rituals for months. One of their rituals, though, culminated on the witches' Sabbath. They had been preparing for this day for quite a while, drawing blood circles in their abandoned home, and speaking various incantations to please their devilish lord. The final act, though, involved a sacrifice. On the witches' Sabbath, one of the 12 high school students, a 15-year-old, snuck into an older student's bedroom with a shotgun and used him for the sacrifice. Yeah, this entry gets kinda real. This was their demonic sacrifice meant to appease the devil. Now, I can't say for certain whether the actual ritual worked because there's currently no knowledge on that. But what I do know is that the 15-year-old and those involved went to jail for a very long period of time. I also know that a 17-year-old boy who had absolutely nothing to do with anything died. Like I said, this one on the list is less about what you may summon and the consequences with that, but more about the fact that you should just never do this. And the fact that people thought this was a good idea, it's just complete insanity. Number 1 on this list is a ritual performed by 2 high school students, Mike and Sid. Now, although Mike and Sid kind of sounds like a great name for a sitcom or like a really good cop show, these guys get a little bit darker than that. Longtime high school friends and big fans of the horror movie genre in general, one evening they stumble upon a ritual on a deep part of the internet. The goal is to summon a demon. Even though the boys have a deep respect for demons and don't want to mess around, it's promised online that this demon will be thankful for being summoned and won't cause you any harm. What you need for this ritual is a frog and a specific incantation in a language called Enochian. I couldn't find the specific incantation that the boys used, and frankly, I mean, it's probably a good thing that this information is difficult to locate. Grab your frog by its hind legs. This is gonna be difficult because it has to still be alive when you are doing this. Stick it directly into sunlight and begin to speak your Enochian incantation. Now, I kinda hate this next part because I love animals, but as you're speaking your hex, kill the frog. Let the blood of the frog drop to the ground. If your spell is working, then you will notice pretty rapidly that the frog itself will start to wither up and shrink. Now, it's said that this should summon a demon in front of you. However, when the boys did this, that's not what happened. Sid was watching as Mike uttered the final words to their ritual. After it was done, Mike stood there for a moment, silently, with the dead, withered up frog in his hands, until he twisted his head 180 degrees backwards and stared directly at Sid with his eyes rolled completely back in his head. Then, without warning, he lunged after Sid in a fully unnatural, inhuman way, spitting and cursing as he did. Sid dodged him and ran out of the house as fast as he could, not stopping for 10 whole minutes. After an hour of waiting and regaining his courage, he carefully made his way back to go check on his friend. Mike was lying completely naked with scratches all over his body, unconscious in the middle of the basement. When he woke up, he had absolutely no memory of the entire incident at all and doesn't know how he got there.
Coming in at number 3, we've got entering a basement. This just seems to happen in a lot of horror movies, huh? Some folks head on down into a creepy cellar through a hidden door and there's an artifact waiting there for them. It might be a book or it could be an enchanted orb. Touch it, read it, or break it, the results are all the same. Demons. Or ghosts, ghouls, and goblins, but that's kind of beside the point. It happened in The Evil Dead when the Naturam de Manto is found and a recording of incantations is played. It happened in Wishmaster when the fire opal is polished. And it happened and has happened every year for ages in the Cabin in the Woods thanks to that lovely cellar full of cursed antiquities. The best thing about these demon summoning rituals is that they're so simple, any idiot can do them. In fact, that's probably the expectation in the first place. Why bother with the planning and the learning to draw sigils and the spilling of blood when you can just crack open a book and watch the sparks fly? Plus, with this knowledge, entering any spooky basement immediately becomes step 1 in your demon summoning ritual. There's always the chance you're gonna stumble across some artifact that will irrevocably alter the course of your destiny. Isn't that an exciting thought? What kind of demon would you summon from the basement? I like the idea of winding up a cursed music box and dealing with the consequences. Coming in at number 2, you can torture a family. Unlike entering a basement, torturing a family to summon a demon takes a little more finesse. You've got to know and understand the demon you're going for and ensure that the victims really don't know what's going on until the last possible moment. Take the cult in Hereditary. They had this all planned out from the start. Like, it literally took them years to put this summoning ritual together. In the end, we get a lovely saxophone wail by the one and only Colin Stetson, and Paimon finds his way into a proper male host. But how did they make it happen? We follow the Graham family for most of the flick, meaning that we're not exactly privy to the details of the ritual. Thankfully, Madeline Aguilar interviewed some witches for The Cut to find find out a little more. Turns out that Paimon is listed in a Solomonic grimoire, which sort of outlines what he does and how to summon him. A summoner would need to draw a magical circle around themselves and a triangle just outside of it. They've got to be wearing the correct seal and be ready to offer the demon all sorts of stuff upon arrival. Plus, there might even be some additional demon managing involved. If you remove Paimon, who was once considered a king of hell, who was going to cover for him? It's just like real life work, but more supernatural. As is the case in most situations, the movie summoning was a little different from real life summoning, but still, going behind a family's back to switch the souls of their two children by decapitating one and possessing the other is a pretty crazy ritual. Then there's the whole nude old people lurking in an empty house bit. That's a little less fun in my opinion, but maybe I'll understand when I get older. Finally, at number 1, we've got revenge. I haven't done any extensive canvassing to find out if this is true or not, but I feel as though revenge is a primary driving force behind plenty of demonic summons. Don't quote me on that, but consider the implications. People want a lot of things: a large automobile, a beautiful house, a beautiful wife, but not everyone's willing to put it all on the line to acquire those things. However, once someone is possessed by a need for revenge, there isn't much that will prevent them from getting it. So if they have to summon a demon and give up their future, so be it. Revenge will be served. A prime example of a revenge-fueled ritual has to be that in the movie Pumpkinhead. Poor old Ed Harley loses his son to some rowdy dirt bikers and swears he'll get them for this. There are no rituals for bringing his son back, but there are rituals for getting revenge. He learns this from the old witch Haggis, who tells him that vengeance comes at a terrible price. Ed is fine with this and uses his son's blood mixed with his own to turn a corpse into the demon known as Pumpkinhead. Thus begins a horrifying rampage fueled by blood, one that can only be stopped by completing the ritual. And the only way to do that is for the man who summoned the demon to die. Ed Harley, who summoned a demon for revenge, realizes that it wasn't the right call. He ends up taking the place of Pumpkinhead in the grave. But revenge will bring this creature back again. There's a sequel after all. Well, I hope I didn't give you folks too many bright ideas. Summoning demons is serious business. But hey, you're on the watch list now. There's no going back. So what'd you think of the list? What kind of summoning ritual do you prefer? The simple ones or the extremely complicated? I think each has its own pros and cons.
Number 4, Hitori Karenbo. Now this next one isn't literally in an elevator. I'm so sorry. It would elevate your stress levels, right? Do you guys buy that? Is that a good enough segue? The rest are gonna be about elevators, I promise. Hitori Karenbo is a Japanese spin on hide and seek that involves playing a game of hide and seek by yourself. I played that a lot in middle school. This version you play with a doll with the hopes of getting a spirit to possess the doll. Here's the steps for Hitori Karenbo. Now again, really want to hammer this home. We're not liable for any hauntings that might occur, but I also do want to throw out there, if you're following my instructions, like a guide on the internet on how to summon a spirit into a doll, I'd say that's a little bit your fault, just like a tiny bit. So first thing, you need to find a doll, a stuffed toy, a collector's Black Series Wave 5 Darth Vader action figure, whatever you have around the house, anything that has limbs that could move. You need to remove stuffing from the doll and fill it with offerings connecting it to you. Nail clippings, hair, spit, anything to connect a physical connection between you and the doll in the spirit world. Then you create a little name tag for the doll. You tie a red string around its neck with the name on it. You fill a bathtub with water, submerge the doll, and turn off the lights in the room. You close your eyes, you count to 10, and then return to the bathroom. You take a sharp-edged object like a pair of scissors or something and say, "I am the first it," and then you say the doll's name, and you say, "That's the second it." And then you find a hiding spot somewhere in the room. The idea is that if you did this correctly, a spirit will come into the doll and try and find you. Or you'll just end up with a very wet Tickle Me Elmo doll and feel kind of silly. Now they don't say this anywhere, but you should take an elevator after you do this, just to, I don't know, shake some evil out and to try and tie this to the other 4 points. Number 3, the doors of your mind. Look, if you stormed out of the video early because there hasn't been enough elevator content, I'm sorry. There'll be loads of content for the hoist heads and dumbwaiter devotees out there, and this one's coming up. This next game is called Doors of Your Mind and involves achieving inner bliss inside an elevator, which I think Steven Tyler claimed to have reached a few times. If done properly, this should liberate your consciousness from the weakness of your flesh into the astral planes above of pure ethereal bliss. You find a suitable elevator in a quiet and undisturbed location where you can have some privacy. Basically, any Holiday Inn around the world you can do this in. Enter the elevator alone and ensure that you have control over the elevator's function. And then enter a meditative state. Close your eyes, take big deep breaths, and free your mind and body. visualize the doors. In your meditative state, visualize the doors of your mind. Imagine that these doors will lead to different levels or aspects of your consciousness. As the elevator ascends or descends, visualize stepping out into different floors representing different aspects of your mind. These floors could reference your memories, your fears, your desires, or any other elements of your personality. Once you think you've come pretty close to spiritual enlightenment and you're ready to end the game, visualize returning to the first floor of your mind and exit that elevator. Take a moment to ground yourself, return to your normal state of consciousness. You did it. And then, like, I don't know, vibe out on the couch for a bit. Put your feet up, watch some Family Guy or something. Turn that brain right back off. Number 2, the Black Room Curse. The next paranormal elevator game you probably should not get yourself involved in is called the Black Room Curse. Does that not sound just a tiny bit like that's an amazing, like, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds B-side? The Black Room Curse? Oh, in the depths of night where shadows dance, there lies a realm of darkness, it's a mystic trance. Oh, the Black Room Curse, it beckons and taunts, it's a haunting melody with a sinister want. Give him a call. Anyway, the Black Room Curse is another spooky elevator game you shouldn't play. You enter the elevator throughout the game. Advised to do this at night where less people are around to catch you. You gotta press the sequence of buttons outside the elevator in a very correct order. Now, this exact sequence can vary, but when inputted correctly, you should arrive at your true destination, the mythical Black Room, like something out of a David Lynch nightmare. What is the Black Room? Well, it's unknown. I've never been there, but it's said to be a supernatural plane of existence that's only reachable by commercial elevator. The Black Room is a place where entities manifest, where you can expect disembodied voices, strange visions, overwhelming sense of dread, and even outright contact with hostile spirits from beyond the void. Now, it's not the world's best idea to spend too much time in the Black Rooms. Make the wrong move and suddenly you're in there for the next 25 years. So to return to safety, to your chromatic dimension where rooms can be any color, reverse the sequence that got you into the Black Room. But be careful. Inputting it improperly could result in you getting trapped there, or way worse. You don't want to know what evil is lurking in the Black Room up there, just waiting for you to make the wrong move. So maybe press that door open button a few more times and not mess with it. And number 1, the Mirror Game. Our last supernatural game to play in an elevator, or hey, never play in an elevator, is the Mirror Game. Mirrors are often connected to rituals of the supernatural and demonic because it's believed that they hold a powerful, symbolic, magical connection to things across the void. I wouldn't know. I don't spend a lot of time looking in them. I get freaked out by that other guy in there. Now, the Mirror Game here involves you bringing a mirror into an elevator, and if done correctly, supposedly will allow the would-be spellcaster a glimpse into alternate realities, or to even summon a supernatural presence into our world. Begin by entering the elevator alone and bringing multiple mirrors. These can be anything: dollar store handheld mirrors, rear view mirrors you broke off dad's Corolla, particularly sharp bits of glass that are reflective. If it reflects, it's gonna work for the purpose of this game. You gotta arrange the mirrors then in a way within the elevator so that they all reflect on each other. And this creates a seemingly infinite reflection effect, amplifying the potential paranormal impact. As the elevator ascends and descends, maintain your focus on the mirror's reflection. It's said that the continuous reflections can create a portal to another dimension, but it also probably just looks like cool as heck to look into. Pay attention to see if there are any anomalies within the reflected image. Perhaps you'll see something distorted. Perhaps you'll see something that was never meant to be seen in our world at all. Once you're done and you've got yourself satiated with paranormal goodness, collect your mirrors and ground yourself in a safe floor. Make sure you don't accidentally perform one of the other rituals or games in this list and end up stuck in the back rooms or anything. Once you're done, scoop up all your mirrors, put them all away, relax, and take some time to just reflect on your experiences.